Hey guys, welcome back to the garage. So today we are going to start the teardown on our Coleman build. We have all the parts. Well, I can't say we have all the parts. We have some of the parts. But first of all, we're going to start the teardown. So we're going to get some tools ready. Got all our stuff pretty much ready. So, but let's talk about our parts here. If you go on to like other like mini bike or go-kart parts places, they usually sell a kit. And that kit could range around about 125 to 150 bucks. We decided to do it separately. So we bought separate pieces to our kit. Well, not our kit, but we're going to make a kit out of separate pieces. Let's just put it that way. So on our kit, pretty much their kit includes the torque converter, the sleeve, and the spacers, the engine spacers. So what we did, we bought everything separately on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description. That we ordered the torque converter kit. We ordered, as you can see here, got the torque converter kit. We also ordered the sleeve. There's all our parts: the sleeve, the belt, torque converter kit. The only thing we don't have is the engine spacers. But that's not a big deal because you can actually go to like Home Depot or Tractor Supply and get square tubing. The engine spacers are 1-inch spacers. So if you get 1-inch square tubing, you should be good to go. So with our torque converter kit, our sleeve, and our engine spacers, we are well under probably 70 bucks. That's like so much cheaper than getting a kit off of any other website. So we're going to call this the Coleman budget build because we only had a small budget to work with. So without further ado, let's start the teardown on the Coleman bike. And you're watching Here's Hoping Garage. Alright guys, well our first step to this build is to take off the side cover which behind there is the clutch and the jack shaft and everything else. So let's get started taking this torque converter cover off, or this clutch cover off. It's held on by 4 clips. One of the clips is missing, which is okay. We're not going to use this one anyhow because the new torque converter comes with a new side cover. So all we have here, we got our clutch, got our jack shaft, we got our tensioner, and we also have our chain goes back to the back sprocket. So let's start taking some stuff apart. Alright guys, well our next step is to get 10 millimeter, take off the shaft bolt that holds the clutch on. I dropped my tools. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the clutch and the jack shaft sprocket. We're going to take it off as a wall one assembly. I know there's a chain. I don't know what you want to call it. The chain piece on there where you can take the chain apart, but I'm just going to let it all together, all one assembly. So front's 10 millimeter. The back is a 23 millimeter. Now inside this castle nut there was actually a cotter key, but I took it out already. Just to save some time. Remove the tensioner out of the way. Take the rear sprocket off. Slide the front one at the same time. Now you got your whole assembly apart. Oh, and there's also a spacer back here. Make sure you don't lose that because you never know. Might need this again in the future. Okay. We'll move on to the next step. Alright guys, well next step is get your 10 millimeter, take off these 4 bolts that hold on the side of the engine. Keep losing my tools here. The end of my Milwaukee, there's something wrong with it, doesn't really hold the freaking stuff on real good. Now, on the back side of this plate, where this shaft goes through right here, there's actually another bolt, another 10mm bolt that actually holds it onto the engine frame. You can't really see it's out of the view of the camera. You just gotta walk. I'm gonna walk around. I'm gonna take that bolt off. Then it should give you enough slack just to pull this whole side assembly off. Here's the bolt that was on the back side. Now we got these 4 bolts, or 5 bolts out rather. Everything should be loose enough that I should get this whole side of the assembly right off the bike here. Should. Okay. There's the whole side assembly. Came off. Wasn't too bad. Pretty easy. Alright. Let's put that underneath our workbench. Our next step actually is to, when you put these torque converter kits on, you're actually supposed to cut this part off right here of the mini bike. All the Coleman mini bikes I think pretty much have this kind of like a guard on here that holds the chain guard on. Our next step would be to cut this guard off close to the frame as you can get it on both sides, because actually when you put the torque converter on, it kind of takes up this whole area right here. So this has to go. And also when we do this, we also got to put our risers on here, our 1-inch risers that we get from, I don't know, Home Depot, Tractor Supply, whatever you have. We're going to use some square tube. We don't have it, but we're going to get it. But for right now, what we're going to do is cut this back section off and get this ready. And keep on watching, guys. Alright guys, well, now it's time to cut the rear bracket off. Make sure when you're using power tools, you got your safety glasses on. You got hand protection. Sometimes you can use hearing protection. I don't have any earplugs right now, but I'm sure I'll live. So, next step, cutting this bracket off. Alright guys, got this side cut. Just do the same to the other side. I'm not going to show it to you because you guys get it. Let's get this bracket cut off. Alright guys, we got our rear bracket cut out. Pretty easy. Easy peasy, man. So get the bracket cut out. So our next step is to actually take the engine loose, 10mm. We're going to take the engine loose, that way we can get ready to get our spacers in. So, this is still pretty easy, 10mm. Pretty much this whole bike is 10mm. But, I'm not going to bore you guys with taking all the bolts and stuff out, so what we're going to do is I'm going to keep working, and we'll see you at the next step. Hey guys, well, our next step is to put these 1-inch spacers underneath the engine. I went and got this 1-inch square tubing from Tractor Supply. It was like 15 bucks for a 48-inch piece. Instead of buying the spacer kit, I made my own for half the price. So what you gotta do is just get your measurements from your engine bolt holes, cut it, drill it, and get it ready. But before you do that, the exhaust is actually going to be in the way a little bit. I think you can either take the shroud off the outside, or take the whole exhaust off. For this one here, we're going to run an aftermarket exhaust. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this whole exhaust off, just the 2 bolts right on the engine here. I'm going to take this whole exhaust off. This way it'll be a lot easier to get my, my engine spacers on. So that's my next step, get the exhaust on and get my spacers underneath the engine and get it jacked up to 1 inch it needs to get up to, so we can get this, torque converter put on. Alright, well, I got the exhaust off. Pretty easy, just 2 bolts. I got my spacers cut, like I said in the other one, I got my spacers cut, drilled. I got them underneath the engine. Pretty much got everything ready to go for right now to install our side plate for the torque converter. And let's get going. Alright, this kit is supplied with 4 10mm bolts. You just need to get it lined up to about where pretty much all of them are good to go. The way it's kind of positioned on the side of the engine. I kind of pre-fit this and marked my holes because I kind of knew where I was going. Now I'm not doing full tight, just getting them snug for right now until I get everything lined up. Get everything lined up the way I want it to be. Get this on. Actually, the engine's still loose yet, so I want to get this side piece tight, keep the engine loose. And what I need to do next is probably take the master link out of this chain. I might have to shorten it. I've seen videos where it works out just perfect. But I'm going to get this master link out and see what I got to do for the chain. If I got to add some links, take some links out. I do have a chain breaker tool. Might be using that. So let's move on. Alright guys, well, I took the master link out. I got it wrapped around the sprocket on the back side of the torque converter. And put the master link back in. And believe it or not, I don't have to do anything with the chain. It's perfect. I slid the engine back, put it around, like I said, put it on, put the master link back on, push the engine back forward. It tightened up perfect. The only thing I really got to do now is make sure it's tracking right. So I'm going to look at the rear sprocket, the sprocket behind the torque converter, make sure it's tracking nice and straight. Then when I find out it's tracking nice and straight, I'm going to tighten my engine bolts up. I'm going to tighten it up, snug these up to the engine. Then that should pretty much take care of everything on this end of it. Then I'll get the belt and drive pulley on. Then we should be looking pretty darn good to being finished here. So, that's like I said, let's keep on trucking forward. Alright everybody, well, I got all the engine bolts tight. I got it tracking right. I got it all nice and tensioned. Next step to the process here is actually getting this sleeve on. Like I said, I got this sleeve on Amazon. The Coleman bikes, they have a 5/8 shaft, and the driver pulley is a 3/4, I believe. So I got a 5/8 3/4 sleeve that goes on next. You just want to make sure you line the key up real good. There's a shaft spline on the spacer itself. Make sure you line up the key, and looks good to go. Next step would be to actually get the driver pulley on, and we'll show you that guys next. Alright everybody, now that we got our sleeve adapter on, we're on our last and final steps to getting this thing buttoned up. Next thing we're doing is we're going to put the belt on. On these torque converters, you got to make sure there's a flat side on the belt and there's a tapered side on the belt. The flat side is going to go back towards the engine. The taper is going to be sticking out front. So it's a little bit of a tight squeeze underneath here, but it's not too bad. I got it on before to try it out. And just squeeze it underneath there, underneath the frame. Just push it back out of your way. Now this kit comes with some spacers. Comes with 2 different spacers. You put these spacers on to make sure that the driver pulley lines up with the rear pulley. So you put that on next. Oh, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. Put the spacers on next. Put the back side of the driver pulley on. Get the belt. Oh, hold on, I'm still getting ahead of myself. There's a brass bushing that goes on. You take the belt. Get the belt up around your pulley. Driver pulley, and get it set on there. Once you get all that set, you can put the outside of your driver pulley on. Just like that. Alright, so just a little bit of information. The torque converter kit that came with this bolt that came with the torque converter kit, I should say, does not fit the shaft on this Coleman engine. It's made for a 3/4 inch shaft. This is a 5/8 inch shaft, so I had to go out. I had to get a bolt. It's an M6 by 2.5, I think it is. So yeah, the bolt that came with it will not work, so you will have to get a belt. Not a belt, a bolt. So once you get all that put together, you get your bolt on. Get it snugged down. And that's pretty much all there is to it. This was a very, very easy, not hard to do at all. I mean, the kit was so simple. The spacers from Tractor Supply, everything matched up, the chain's good. The only thing you're going to do is either get aftermarket exhaust or take the shroud off the exhaust that comes with it. But other than that, this was simple, awesome. This will give you more power, give you more torque. Just all around better for off-road and anything else. So, there it is, guys. That's simple. Well, guys, that's the end of our budget Coleman build. Very easy, very doer-friendly. Anybody can pretty much do this. Got the parts off of Amazon. Just a simple, easy build, and fun too. So, if you like what we did here, hit the like button, and if you like our videos, please subscribe. We're going to be doing a lot more videos in the future. So stick around for more adventures of Here's Hoping Garage. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time.